Hello, welcome to FileHold. My name is Chris, and this short video will look at some of the ways to use auto-filing templates to better automate your document filing processes. Before we get started, this video will assume that you know how to create auto-filing templates. FileHold is a library of videos about auto-filing, how to create them, how to use merge tags to grab information from metadata, and how to let auto-filing create the library structure. Links are in the description. Today we're going to explore two use cases that use auto-filing to create more intricate library structure. Remember, FileHold's library structure is focused on permission more than organization. Document schema and metadata provide content to search, locate, and organize your documents, whereas the library structure is about controlling access to the document and what level of permission users will have. But some organizations like a robust library structure because it mimics their paper-based filing conventions and allows for browsing for documents just like a physical filing cabinet. This can require effort to create the structure to marginal benefit, as often time is wasted creating structure in anticipation of content that does not arrive. If structure can be automated by the document being added, it will mean only necessary structure is created. This efficiency is ideal. For today's videos, we will use invoices for our two use cases. In our first use case, the organization wants to mimic how they filed paper invoices, a filing cabinet or cabinets for each year, and a folder for each vendor. Auto-filing can create this very simply with two merge tag expressions. For the drawer, we tell FileHold to use the metadata field for the invoice date, and then we add the restriction to use just the year. For the folder, we use the vendor name. This will automatically put documents in that location, and if there are no drawer or folder there, it will create them. Let's add some documents to FileHold using this rule from SmartSoft Capture. I have three invoices, from Alpha Company, from Foxtrot Inc., and from eBravo. Each of these have validated metadata, the vendor name, the invoice number, the date, and the total. I export these. FileHold's Manage Import rule maps the validated metadata and uses the auto-filing rule for each document. I would normally run this in an automated mode, but today I'm running it manually so we can see it work. I select the Manage Import template and click Start. The task runs, as I can see by the advancing numbers, and I can now refresh my library. Here's my new drawer and my new folder. The challenge is volume. If I work with hundreds of vendors, I will have hundreds of folders each year. This means for those users who insist on browsing the library instead of searching, there will be a lot of scrolling up and down to find the particular folder they need. This is a perfect use case for folder groups, where I use the first letter of each vendor to create a folder group and then a folder per company in that folder group. Here's what that looks like in the auto-filing rule. We're using the same cabinet for all invoices, and the drawer and folder match the prior example. What's different is the folder group. I have several rules. One's to create the folder group, and a final catch-all to make sure nothing is missed. When using more than one rule, the order is important. I need to make sure all the rules work logically in the correct order, or else I will get the wrong rule to work first. Let's look at the first rule. There are four parts, and we will start at the bottom. The target string is the metadata field we want to use to target the rule to, so we're using the metadata field invoice vendor. The regular expression is regex programming to use the first letter of the vendor invoice value if it's a capital A, B, C, or D. If it's not one of those, it will move on to the next rule. If it is A, B, or C, or D, then it goes to the folder group name, which is A-D. The next rule does the same thing for E through I, then J to M, N to S, T to W, and finally X, Y, Z. It looks like I've duplicated the rule, but the first one follows the same rules as above. If a company starts with X, Y, or Z, it gets filed there. The second one is a catch-all rule. If the company name starts with something other than a capital A through Z, such as punctuation or a lowercase character, it will file the rule in the group as miscellaneous, but with the folder name that matches the company. By the way, feel free to pause and copy what's here if you want to try it for yourself, and don't forget to change the target string to match your metadata field. Let's apply the rule. We export the same three invoices in Capture. I've updated the auto-filing rule with this revised template so we can start the Manage Import. I refresh the library and we can see our new cabinet, drawer, folder groups, and the vendor folder. Now the library is more convenient for the users who insist on browsing, but no additional administrative effort to accommodate them. In our second use case, the organization realized it does not need a yearly breakdown or a folder for each vendor. They are using events to automatically archive invoices after 2 years and delete after 7. So really, they just need to gather the invoices by the company, and in this case, the first letter for the company name will work for the folder name. Instead of hundreds of folders, they'll have at most 26. Here's the auto-filing summary that matches that. No folder groups, stock cabinet and drawer, and fewer folder rules. Less rules are needed because we can use more regular expression programming. Let's look at our first folder rule. We have our target string still pointing to the vendor field, but now the regular expression is using a new function. We're naming the value that we find first letter. In the folder name, we use the replace merge tag to use that value for the folder name. So now if it's a standard character of A through Z uppercase, it will create a folder with that name. The second rule is the catch-all. If the name starts with something other than uppercase A through Z, such as maybe a number or perhaps a lowercase letter like an E, then it goes to miscellaneous. Again, feel free to pause, copy, and adapt. Now let's export our invoices using this new rule. I start the Manage Import and refresh my library. We can see the new structure. Folders created automatically using the first letter of the company name. Again, we have structure created without any additional effort on my end as a user or administrator, and both browsers and searchers are satisfied. Auto-filing is a standard feature of FileHold. If you're comfortable with regular expressions, you can create your own templates that perform even more intricate operations. FileHold's professional services team can assist with any advice you may need, and our knowledge base is full of resources to help with some of these more complex rules. Thanks for taking the time to learn about auto-filing.